After two negatives, Ipswich Town finally have a positive. Is the corner turned after the win over West Brom? Join us to discuss here on Blue Monday at Ipswich Town Podcast. Evening, everybody. The clock change that's an excuse, isn't it, Craig? It really isn't, because we've seen our colleague tonight, but he's not here now. You're here. Congratulations, you made it. You get a gold star. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm okay. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I think we were either going to be both here an hour early or an hour. We were trying to work out just now, weren't we, whether we would have been here an hour early or an hour late. But no, we both managed to make it here with 10 or so minutes to go. Not quite so fortunate for our fellow podcaster who will hopefully be on shortly, who was in a bit of panic stations, I think, running around the house changing his oven clock to the right time and then taking down his internet at the same time.
Yeah, he's not put the penny in the router. I don't know what's going on, but we're here anyway. Professionalism is, and that's what we want. We're going to power through. We are here to talk about West Brom. We have a victory, Craig, and very quickly we need to talk about apologies for those who not massively interested in our live event, but a big thing for us. And thank you to all the people who turn up. Thanks to the folks at Fan Supporting Food Banks and Call Me Ted and Glory Days Artwork who joined, and James Scrowcroft, of course. Do you want to give a quick recap for those who were unable to join us last night? It was a great event, wasn't it? Great fun.
Yes, it was. It was great fun. And I think everyone who came along enjoyed themselves. The people I spoke to afterwards did. My mates who came along enjoyed it. It's always fantastic to have a professional eye cast over things, both the match and also the goings on in and around the club and the team from afar. Obviously, James Scowcroft now works for Crystal Palace in a scouting position. So it was nice to hear little bits and pieces from him on that side of things, and the travels he makes around Europe looking at various players for them. And also he had some interesting comments about the players in the team at the moment from Ipswich, and maybe our transfer policy over last summer, or the summer before, sorry, as we were entering into the Premier League. It's quite interesting as well. But yeah, just a great evening, a great venue as ever. You got your logos splattered all across the North Stand, which was great to see. So yeah, hopefully everyone who came along got full value for money.
Yeah, and I haven't managed to find a picture that does justice to it yet. It was really difficult for Westy. We need to say thank you to Westy who's taking photos. We put a link out on our socials, but you're trying. There was a dark background, and then there's us, and then there's floodlights, and then there's the kind of pitch things, and then there's the scoreboard stuff. So if you took a good photo of all our branding on the North Stand, please let me know, because as I said last night, it ticked a nerdy bucket list thing for me to see Blue Monday's logos around Portman Road. So but great stuff. And yeah, and congratulations to Chris, who might be out there in the chat. He won your game of heads or tails. Do you want to divulge any of the questions? Want to recycle any of the questions and pose them to the chat? I think the height one was a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'll dig them out. Actually, I've got them here on my drive somewhere, so I'll get them up at a set. I think I can't remember which one it was, but I had a list of 11 questions, basically heads or tails, A or B. You know, who's got the most Ipswich Town appearances? Who's got the most Ipswich Town goals, etc., etc., etc. And there was one question about 3 or 4 in which completely decimated the audience and took us down from, I don't know, 80 people standing up to about 3 people standing up. So yeah, we had a surplus of questions towards the end. But yeah, Chris successfully won, and it won a fantastic, which I had my eye on, a fantastic signed James Scowcroft print, which was, a really, really good prize.
Yeah. We are going to try and bring in our colleague. Let's see if his internet holds. Dave Diamond, you're here. Can we hear from you? Is your microphone working too?
All good. Good.
He's here.
It just randomly dropped out for no apparent reason. I spoke to Craig earlier today. It was absolutely fine, but there you go.
Did you turn it off and turn it back on again?
Exactly what I did.
Perfect. We're just talking about Blue Monday Live, and we're kind of padding for time as Craig gets that. Have you got the height question? Let's put it out there.
Well, yes, it was who's the tallest out of Wes Burns and Amari Hutchinson, basically.
Do you want to do
A or B?
Yeah, I haven't got my Slido app to real-time poll this one, but yeah, heads for Burns, tails for Amari, and it's
It's Amari.
Amari.
Towers. He towers over Wes Burns, but from 5'9" to 5'8", unbelievably.
I can't believe that. I saw him come on as a half-time sub this afternoon. He looks tiny, but really he's taller.
Did you see him whack that first corner about 60 yards too high?
To be fair, I only saw bits, so I didn't know. Oh, no, he didn't. Yeah, it looked like he didn't really... Well, Forrest looked fairly poor by all accounts, but yeah, at least he got some game time at last, which was good.
Yes, he did. And, well, it was a great evening at Portman Road for us. It was a great afternoon at Portman Road, which we'll talk about in a second. But what a night for Fabio Wardley, Dave.
Flaming neck.
Talk about running towards adversity. I spoke to a few boxing aficionados who didn't fancy his chances, but he's proven them wrong yet again, hasn't he?
Oh, he's got a big right hand. He's got a big punch. He's always got a puncher's chance. But it's been a controversy. It's taken a bit of a gloss off, isn't it? Well, not for him. Obviously, he's won the fight fair and square. But bit of controversy about how the fight was stopped and was it stopped too early? And I heard Carl Froch speaking about it. He said, well, yeah, okay. He had him bagged in the corner and he was throwing punches, but they weren't landing as such, sort of thing, you know. So a little bit tarnished, but what a night. And as I think we said last night, I spoke to Craig this morning, that's him made now. I mean, especially if the fight is made with Usyk, I mean, that's just massive off the scale for him, isn't it? He's absolutely made now, isn't he? So fair play to the boys. We said he's got a big heart, hasn't he? Absolutely big heart and superb.
I was listening to it on 5 Live, and the suggestion from Steve Bunce, who knows a thing or two, was that he broke the guy's nose, Parker's nose, but at the start of the 11th, which might have been a factor in the stoppage or whatever. But we'll focus on the positives, as we'd like to do on this podcast. Let's focus on the positives about Ipswich Town 1, West Bromwich Albion 0. And Craig, how positive were you feeling when you heard of 9 changes to the lineup that faced Charlton? I guess to be expected after Tuesday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, as what people have spoken about, the Charlton performance first half especially wasn't that bad. In fact, you'd probably be argued it's one of our better halves of football so far in terms of the control that we had. Maybe not created a huge amount of chances, but certainly in the control that we had over Charlton for the first half. And I wasn't really expecting that many changes of it. I would have kept Akpom as the 10 and Azon as the 9. I thought they both played fine on Tuesday night. I think most people would have probably had Nunes coming in and Matasiwa as the 2 central midfielders for the reasons Kayuste probably didn't have his greatest game on Tuesday night, and Matasiwa being suspended and coming back in. Then you think they were probably the obvious 2 to have in centre midfield. And then maybe you could pretty much argue a case for having Philogene and Egley come back in as the wide players, despite Jack Clarke playing well Tuesday night. But no, I think I would have probably kept the centre halves the same as well. I think they did okay. I don't think Greaves probably deserved to get drawn, but as it turns out, what little do we know?
Yeah, I'll talk you through the 9 changes. And yeah, Dave, give us your thought. I mean, Walton comes back in, no surprises there. Injury for Palmer sounds like that's weeks rather than months, which is helpful. Walton's 100th appearance for the club and first start.
Incredible, isn't it?
According to Suffolk, according to McKenna on the way home, I was listening to that.
Amazing, yeah.
Back four, as Craig said, was Davis and the trio, the ex-Baggy trio of Kip, Ray O'Shea and Long. Matasiwa returning as we expected. Maybe didn't expect to see Jack Taylor. I think we probably thought we'd see Jack Taylor on Tuesday, but we saw him on Saturday. And then Philogene, Smodic, Egelli make up the front 3 behind Hurst. What's your take on that lineup?
Well, it was an interesting one because although obviously, as you said, there were 9 changes, it was only 2 which were pretty much enforced from the Middlesbrough game, which was Walton was enforced one obviously, and Taylor in for Kayuste from the team that started at Middlesbrough. So I guess looking at a little bit of continuity, looking like that's what he wants, sort of thing. So I like Craig. I wasn't there Tuesday. Fortunately, missed that one.
That's why we lost.
Well, do you know what? But the only other game I've missed in the last 4 seasons, other than family bereavement sort of thing, was the 5-2 under Paul Cook. True.
Wow.
There you go. So yeah, I like you. I thought Taylor. I think we all thought Taylor might have played. Taylor might well have played against Charlton. and rather than go with Karius and Nunes in the middle. So I thought, he came back, he slotted in really well, and I thought he just we gave a lot better protection to the two centre halves yesterday, I felt. So all in all, pretty good. Yeah, and like Craig, a bit surprised perhaps that Azon didn't get another chance from the start.
And Jack Clarke, when we were going to talk lots about him, and I guess if you score every time if you come off the bench, McKenna's probably got a plan there. But I guess I thought he ran the show on Tuesday night, Craig. I don't know what your thoughts were, whether he was unfortunate. We'll talk about Scully's view on Philogene, because that's quite interesting context later on from the live show. But yeah, Clarke probably counted himself a little bit unlucky to not feature from the start.
Yeah, but I suppose unfortunately for him, he's playing in the same position as the guy who's been in form for our home games.
True.
And predominantly winning and single-handedly for us at the moment. So to Dave's point, the front four, if you take into account Hurst as well and the three behind, and the back four were the same front four and back four at Borough and at Norwich. So it does look like maybe McKenna was starting to see a first choice team, really, if you could look at it that way, and maybe just tinkering, albeit arguably too much for the midweek ones.
West Brom, a couple of changes for them, just for context. Campbell in for Alfie Gilchrist, highly rated from Chelsea, like that signing, and Charlie Taylor for Callum Styles. But West Brom off the back of a midweek defeat to Watford, they had 24 hours less, so that midday 12:30 kickoff not particularly useful for them. And I guess it's difficult to know what they were kind of expecting to get out of this game. We were again talked about teams are going to rock up to Portman Road, whether they're West Brom or Charlton, and probably look to sit in and frustrate us. And Dave, they had a good level of intensity to the start from both sides, and then gradually I thought we got on top. And obviously Jaden Philogene doing Jaden Philogene things, isn't he?
That was a good save, wasn't it? We spoke about this last night, and one or two people were saying, a bit of a Hollywood save. But when you watch that back, it's a hell of a save. He only goes, I thought at the start he gets two hands to it. He only gets one hand to. It was a brilliant save. It would have been just another trademark Philogene goal. But yeah, we did. I think we probably were the better side first half. But really, other than that, did we create too much? Other than that, I really can't remember Griffiths making any other saves other than that one, really, first half. So I thought we sort of huffed and puffed a bit, but probably had the best of it. They certainly weren't creating anything, were they? Nothing at all. And it was quite interesting. Kieran, my son, who it was obviously there Tuesday in my absence, basically said, "Dad, first half," he said, "Charlton were worse than these, a lot worse than these." He thought, or maybe it's because perhaps we played slightly better against Charlton. But yeah, he said he felt that first half that West Brom were probably much better than Charlton were on Tuesday.
And I guess West Brom had seen a bit of Charlton strategy, Craig. I was strange having in pre-match with Seb talked about how Mason had set them up as quite a patient and kind of short passing side, building out from the back, to see them lump it and go quite direct. But it obviously worked for Charlton. It worked for Borough to an extent, and Bristol City as well. So a team's going to go long ball against us, sit in, and then just try and get in behind, because that's basically what West Brom were doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I suppose if we're going to give away goals to simple lumps straight down the middle of the pitch like we have been prone to do recently, then yeah, why not try it again? But I think having Keepray back there just adds a little bit of solidity and a lot of strength in that area of the pitch, doesn't it? So, as Dave said, we huffed and puffed. So obviously Smodic got absolutely clattered, didn't he, on the halfway line? It wasn't a foul, I don't think. I think it was a good challenge, wasn't it? But unfortunately, momentum, took the player into him, and that sorted him out after about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, didn't it? He was signalling to the bench pretty much straight after that foul that he was done, and had a little bit of manipulation work done by the physios, which got him through another 5 or 10 minutes, but his race was run by then. And I think it was really only Philogene's free kick he had, didn't he? It was straight down the keeper's throat from a foul on Jack Taylor. But apart from that, West Brom had a bit of possession, didn't they? About half an hour, a lot of possession, but on the halfway line, really, we'd kept them pretty much at arm's length. And yeah, at half time, I think we'd had maybe 6 or 7 shots, the 2 Philogene shots on target. But fans of XG would probably see that, Christ, ours was, I don't know, 0.3, and I think West Brom's was half of that. So that probably gives you an idea, an indication of what sort of half of football it was.
Yeah, there's maybe a shout for a penalty for Philogene, but otherwise, I
Mm.
forgot how busy Philogene had been in the first half, and because it's down the other end for me. Obviously, there's the save early on, which you kind of, as the half has gone on, you kind of forget about. But he was involved. It's probably a soft shout, but probably Town the better of the two sides, Dave, but definitely not our fluid, confident best. And the trouble with the 12:30 game, I don't know if it was just the nerves from Tuesday, but the atmosphere was a bit flat, wasn't it? Do you want to talk to that? Because McKenna talked about the uncomfortable atmosphere, didn't he?
No, right. I thought hashtag bit of both. It was just nervousness, and I think it was a hangover from Tuesday for sure. It was just nervousness. Getting back to Philogene, I've seen those given. Brilliant bit of skill, and I didn't realise where I sat. Absolutely nuts, the defender. Absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And that looked a good shout to me. But anyway, it didn't go our way. But it was kind of these half 12. Look, I mean, you're compliant with Sky, aren't they? These half 12 kickoffs. I don't think anyone really likes particularly the atmosphere, other than against obviously Norwich is going to be a good atmosphere, but it was pretty flat. I thought, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, and a little bit of snarkiness at times too. Still, there's a few players coming for some treatment, and then we'll talk about substitutions in the second half. But you kind of felt like we needed to get the win just to get a little bit of breathing space and get people chilled out a bit, because I did a reaction with Mikey and Seb after Charlton.
I saw that.
That's one of our most watched videos of the season so far. I think it's in second place by Norwich, and you kind of think,
misery. We've always said it. Misery loves company. Yeah, misery loves company. We said it. I'll tell you what, though. And Craig mentioned it last night. I think Egley first half. I felt so sorry for him. Talk about isolated. Oh my! He must have been. First 20 minutes, if he touched the ball twice, I mean, it was so. I mean, I guess it's understandable because our left side is so positive with Davis and Philogene, but blooming egg, he just actually stood there out on the line, almost with his hands on hips, thinking, "What?" But yeah, it's and I guess with Philogene and Davis, perhaps he hasn't quite got the same creativity behind him with Furlong playing there. But I did feel a bit isolated. I think was the best way of describing it. It was a half went off. He got one or two more touches and came into it a bit, but. Flipping egg, yeah, he's just out there absolutely on his own.
He's going to have some moments in the second half, though, so we'll talk about that. I guess a fact of Agueli as well, Craig, you talked briefly about Smodic being, I've written here, boshed on the halfway line by Metham. From where I was, it was a definite foul, but I'm down the other end of the ground, so you can't trust me for that one. It looked a bit robust, but I think Agueli, as we saw in the Norwich game, relies on Smodic a little bit to kind of coach him through that, and he's not going to get that from Akpom, does he? So do we kind of does Agueli really need to be in the team to have a Smodic alongside him rather than Akpom in terms of pairings that we talk about? Is that important or not so much for you?
Yeah, possibly. But I think today's point, I think it's just not having a Davis or as creative a fullback behind him. Maybe there just isn't quite that understanding yet between Agueli and his fullback, and Agueli and the centre midfielder that's inside of him. But then that's I'm imagining very, very possibly down to tactics. That's what we do, is that we're keeping Agueli very wide. He's still playing very wide. He's still hugging the touchline down there where Dave and I are in that first half, certainly not so much in the second, but the first half. And what we were doing is when the ball is coming out to him, it's noticeable that it's one touch and he's the one that's pinging it or attempting to ping it crossfield over to Davis on the other side of the pitch. So there are tactics behind it. And why wouldn't you utilise Davis and Philogene the way they're both playing at the moment, the way they're both interacting with each other at the moment, the understanding they've got? You'd be crazy not to push 90% of your play down that side of the pitch, would you?
And you can see it with you can see it with him at some point. He is going to get that ball wide. He is going to shift on his left foot, and he is going to lash one in the top corner. You can just see it. It's what he needs, really, isn't it?
Because he's thunder bastard, isn't he?
He's cracking left foot. Yeah.
Are we a bit worried about Smodic's injury record? It hasn't been good of late, is it?
Seems like it was not a muscle. Listen to McKenna afterwards. Seems like it was an impact injury.
Yeah.
So I think on his knee. I think he said
his
knee. On his knee. I think. Yeah. And I think he said Akpom's was perhaps impact as well. So hopefully.
Well, should we just get into the second half and deal with that? Because that one's much more of a marginal decision, isn't it, Craig? That foul on, was it given as a free kick? I'm not sure it was in the end. Was it high?
No, I don't think it was because, and I watched the Sky highlights back today, and I watched the Sky post-match analysis back today, and they had Chambers on there and Darren Ambrose on there as well. And I think I agree with what they said, is that it wasn't. It looked a lot worse. Yeah, it wasn't malicious. It looked worse than it was. I think
his foot rolls over the ball, doesn't it, a little bit, and goes on.
He wins the ball. He wins the ball. Diakite, wasn't it? I think he wins the ball fairly, and then his momentum takes him through onto Akpom's ankle. I just think it's one of those things, unfortunately. But unfortunately for us, one of those things meant that we had to use yet another sub, which McKenna alluded to. Actually, it's maybe not the sub, but it's the fact that you're only allowed X amount of substitute windows, aren't you? And we'd use 2 of those up to replace one position.
Yeah, but Dave, I guess, well, he's going to have a role, isn't he, in our kind of flourish towards the end, because we do finish the game the much stronger of the two teams. Nunez in at 10 has been debated in various different configurations, perhaps not with Taylor in that trio, but we'll talk about Taylor's performance and how excellent he was. But Nunez in the 10, is it something you wanted to see, and therefore that substitution was very much
I think I'm not substitution. Obviously, what we're hoping for, we're not the injuries, but it was an interesting one. He was perhaps, looking at me as perhaps potentially our most creative player in there. So I mean, when he came, he didn't actually. I don't know. Did he really do that much after he came on?
A chance.
10, he scuffs a chance. He made a brilliant ball from. There's one. It was a brilliant ball from Taylor. Who we'll go into. It's fantastic, sort of just inside, and he kind of gets. It's a great run. He gets across his man and just hits it with sort of just doesn't get his feet right and sort of shanks it. Was you're up there, North Stand then, wasn't it? Shanks it past the near post. I don't know. Yeah, as we said last night, sometimes you stumble on these things because of injuries, because of suspensions, and sometimes you stumble on these things. So maybe it may well be that against QPR, Smodics and Akpom will still be out, and he's almost forced to play him in there and has a great game. Off he goes, and there's your answer.
Yeah,
or you find that Agueli moves inside. Because I just don't know whether Nunez has got the mobility, and I appreciate, I'm going to say he hasn't got the goals, and neither of our number 10s have scored a goal yet so far this season. But I just wonder whether he's more suited. I think McKenna said the same, didn't he? He said, he can play there, but we see him more as a centre.
Yeah, he said that afterwards, didn't he? But I guess we'll get onto it in a bit, but really interesting what Scully had to say about that role.
We will come on to that. Let's talk about, I'll come back to you, Dave, because you've mentioned him already. There's a couple of moments for Agueli, isn't there, when the ball drops in the penalty area, and maybe we would hope that he wouldn't repeat the actions if the chances fell to him again. You hope he learns from them, but very rushed finishes. The
first one is a really good cross from Philogene, isn't it? And I think on Sky they said that's probably up to then the best chance of the game, and he's about 8 yards out and he just gets it a bit wrong, sort of like not shanks it, shins it a bit, doesn't he? He goes sort of past the post. Did he have another half volley that he ballooned over? I think that he banged over as well. Yeah, he just like any of those like 10s, obviously Philogene and Clarke apart. Those 10s, Smodics, Akpom, him just needs a goal, confidence, and off and running probably.
Yeah, there's the usual triple change. Craig, Athon, Clarke, Kayust all come on. Hurst, Philogene, Taylor depart. With some level of snarkiness and sarcasm in pockets of the crowd, you would say, for one of those. Do you want to talk through each of those three and your view on their performance?
Yeah, I didn't know whether it was due down to the players or just the length of time it had taken us to make subs. And I think, alluding to my previous point about the windows that we'd used, whether we had to give it just a little bit longer in case something else occurred and we needed to take off or replace an injured defender, for example. But I thought, well, to Taylor's point, I think he was arguably man of the match. I know Sky gave it to Leif Davis and the sponsors gave it to Jack Clarke. But I thought personally he was probably our best outfield player. Keeper, I thought, played well as well, strong and won all his headers and his tackles. But I think you could not have asked any more from Taylor than he did. He was not only was he dragging us forward up the pitch, he was getting tackles into Dave's point about the pass to Nunez. You'd expected that to have been flipped round, wouldn't you? With Nunez making that defence splitting pass to someone else. So, yeah, I think he showed a few strings to his bow, didn't he, yesterday, in that he could do that all-round number 8 role, whereas previously we'd probably think him more of a box-to-box, crashing into the box and sticking the ball in from 25 yards out. But yeah, hopefully he's made a bit of a difficult decision coming up for next weekend. Who knows what the starting 11 is going to be next weekend, or certainly the centre midfield 2 is going to be. But he's done his own chances, no harm whatsoever. George Hurst was okay. James Scowcroft had some bits and pieces to say about him last night. He said that it's just a very, very difficult role to play, and certainly was yesterday against West Brom, because, to James's point, he had 2 central defenders on his back and 2 defensive midfielders on his toes, were his pretty much exact words. So your touch is going to have to be pretty exact to fend off 2 people on your back and 2 people on your toes. And I think in the main he did okay, but yeah, I think we're still just trying to work out that front 4 pairings and understandings, and yeah, just not quite clicking at the moment. I don't think that centre forward and that number 10 behind them.
Yeah, because people seem to like the hustle and bustle of Athon. We've kind of talked about it on this pod, haven't we? Several times, and I'm not sure they're maybe doing a different role, but I guess it's easy to rock up off the bench, having sat through 70 odd minutes, and then run around and look like you're kind of injecting some intensity that maybe George Hurst hadn't been showing, up to the point that he's taken off there. But I guess Athon is getting on the end of stuff, isn't he? I mean, we'll talk about that more in a second, but that's, I guess, the difference. But I think it helps because Nunez is generally on the pitch by the time Athon comes on. And Nunez and Athon seem to have got a little bit on each other's wavelength as well. So maybe that works in his favour too. But hey, I'm maybe clutching a little bit. But I'm going to talk about the main moment of the game, Dave. And I dare mention it because there's a few people that I've got the fan club for. One's Jack Clarke. We're going to talk about him in a second. The other is Aro Muric. This West Brom defensive situation gives me Muric-Morsey vibes against Newcastle or someone last season, doesn't it? Ipswich take the lead with a degree of support and help from West Brom, don't they?
I mean, West Brom had done the job. They've got their point. The point was there. I don't think. Well, honestly, we'll talk about what happened after the goal, the chances we missed after the goal, but I'm not sure we'd have scored. I'm not sure we'd have won that game yesterday without this. I'm not sure we were going to score. But yeah, I mean, it's quite good. It was just loose, wasn't it? I mean, the ball's played around. I think it's a big clearance, and it's heading back to Griffiths. Passes it square, gets it back. Then it's more of that, and then he tries to pass it out to Moat, who I thought was decent player Moat. Actually. Nice left foot, Moat. Yeah, decent player. I tell you what, I've watched that back, and someone said last night, I think Craig or Joe said last night, that the ref did let quite a bit go yesterday, but there was still the odd little niggly ones that you think, come on, it's hardly any contact there. Well, there was certainly contact, I thought, between Kajust and Moat, and it really wouldn't have surprised me if the ref had blown up at that point. You see it, don't you? But no, if you look back, he obviously gets the ball. Yeah, he has a presence of mind. Good from Hughes. Has a presence of mind to feed it to Athon, who again doesn't do a lot wrong, does he? Really hits it low. It's quite a good save, to be fair. Although, if you're being really pernicious to the keeper, should he push it? Well, we've seen it all. And it's just Jack Clarke. He's just alert, isn't he? Just again follows the ball in like he did against Norwich. Sort of follows the ball, and he's just there to. Yeah, from a reasonably tightish angle. I mean, it's like 2 yards out, but you needed to lift it, and he lifted it in the roof of the net, and we get the goal.
It's really easy to kind of say, well, it's close in, Craig, and he should do that. But Dave's right; it's a really cute finish, isn't it? To remove any doubt from whether the keeper can cover.
Yeah, 100%. With his wrong foot, had to have the presence of mind. To know that there's a defender sliding in as he's hitting it. To have the presence of mind. Yeah, that was the only place he could have scored, was by lifting it into the roof of the net, and to do that in that split second was fantastic. And I think to Dave's point about the potential foul on the edge of the box, I just think that Moat's such a heavy touch, hadn't it, that the ball had bounced away from him by the time Kajust stayed nudged him out the way. To Rob's point there, I think the heavy touch played in our favour. I think the ref had been letting a lot go. Certainly on Philogene in the first half, he'd been letting a lot go. No real complaints about that. And I say when I listened again to the Sky stuff, they didn't really mention it as being a foul either. So that's just one of those things. And it's just a shame for Adon. I'd love him to get a goal. His work rate, I think, deserves it. Hit the post twice now and had a couple of decent saves from keepers. So you'd think it's only a matter of time before it slides one in.
Jonas Axeldal.
Thanks, Dave. I was hoping one of you would do that. It's on my bingo card for tonight. Dave, I mean, we should win the game 2 or 3-0, shouldn't we?
My God! I tell you what,
how do we not score?
If after those they had a nicked one, oh my goodness me, there would have been serious questions asked. I mean, one is superb from Ageli, sort of wins the ball. I think it's a misplaced pass, and he wins the ball just in front of us on like the left back area, and he just carries on diagonally. Absolutely brilliant. And I think feeds it Nunes, who again Nunes perhaps could shoot there across the keeper, but again, he tries to feed in Azon. And I think it's quite decent defending. Azon gets kind of a shot away, but not clearly. He's got, it's fairly decent defending. But Christ almighty, the next one, when we work it, well, again, Clarke's trying to give Egley or Azon, one of them, a goal, isn't he there? Because why he just doesn't hit it low under the keeper? He's about, 6-7 yards out at a decent angle, just hit it hard and low. But no, he's tries to lay the ball across, and that gets, and you think, oh my God, if they go and score now, this will be calamitous. But fortunately,
they did have the ball in the net, didn't they?
Yeah, their whistle had, to be fair, the whistle had gone literally. I think most of us had stopped, unfortunately. Even the West Brom fans only half celebrated that one. I think they heard it as well.
Yeah, but we got the job done, Craig, and I guess that to me is probably the headline for that one. Job done, win, 3 points. But probably the most significant thing is the clean sheet, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's required if you're only going to score one goal, isn't it? To Dave's point,
Jay Scowcroft said, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Only one side deserved to win yesterday. West Brom were remarkably poor or unadventurous. I don't know which.
Unadventurous is a good word.
Adjective you want to use. Yeah. Obviously, some of that's down to us. The way that we defended, the way that we shut them down. But I think their intent was highlighted. You talk about them getting the ball in the net towards the end of the match, and once it'd been sort of worked out that it was a foul, their fans were singing, "We've had a shot," and I don't think they were particularly enamoured with the way that they were playing. Every time they got the ball and had a chance of going forward with it, invariably they'd be passing it back. And I looked directly along that goal line towards the away fans, and they were going crazy every time that happened. So yeah, they weren't overly happy with their unadventurous style of play, should we say? But so they did almost get away with a point, which is probably what they'd set up to do.
Yeah. I think they had something like one effort on goal, which was blocked. They didn't even get as far as Walton, I don't think. Did they? Is that right?
So I'll go through the stats in a minute.
Oh, yeah,
big chances, one for them though. I don't remember what that was. So but yeah, 10 shots, only one on target, and one of those a big chance. However you want to define that. I mean, Dave, do we take much out of that apart from just needing, like I said right at the start, just get the win, however it happens? I think we said on pre-match, just a grotty 1-0. It wasn't a grotty performance, but as we said, it's not our most fluid. Is there anything we take out of that apart from just the confidence out of a clean sheet?
Well, I think certainly Jack Taylor's performance. You take out of that Jack Taylor's performance. I think it was a positive that Egley got 90 played the whole game first time, which was great. And just the 3 points was so important yesterday, because I thought you said West Brom weren't they adventurous. I thought they were poor. They looked poor to me. There's not lack of quality there, I thought. And we'd have really, really missed a trick having not taken 3 points yesterday. So yeah, you take that into QPR next week and hopefully build on that with a better away performance.
Yeah, it's the away form that we need to get sorted. And we'll talk about QPR, who in the roundup in a second as well. Colin mentioning West Brom and their poor record. Head-to-head is pretty good in our favour, but I don't think we've beaten them in the league for quite some time. I think, was it 2008? I was reading on TWTD, maybe at home at least.
Is that right?
Yeah, we haven't got the best of records of late against West Brom, although we haven't played them that often. But
no,
good to get the results and good to get the clean sheet, as we say. And yeah, congratulations, Christian Walton, a clean sheet on his 100th appearance.
Yeah, good to see. Yeah.
A few stats. We won't do higher or lower because I think it's pretty obvious that Ipswich are going to come out higher on most of the key metrics. XG, because everyone bloody loves it. 2.2 for Town. Only what's this say? Is it 0.39? I think it is for West Brom, so not great for them. Total shots 15, 4 on target. We're getting a few more shots on target, but still not many. Griffiths isn't doing too much work, especially when we're not getting it on target. Really. But yeah, possession wasn't massively different, 54 to 46. But yeah, big chances missed, 4 to Ipswich, and 3 of those missed. So yeah, I think we've got the job done. I think I'll leave that there for stats wise. I think we'll deal with the roundup, but we'll do that after we heard from our friends from Atwell's.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Let's go straight to the roundup because it's still a weird division, guys. I'm still really confused. Apart from Coventry, who are just like a runaway train at the moment, 3-0 up at half time against Watford. Let it slip a little bit in the second half, and Watford were down to 10. But yeah, Coventry very much the pace setters. But elsewhere, Preston turned a losing deficit into a winning margin on Friday night. Pompey defeated at home to Stoke, who are a little bit inconsistent, but generally much better under Mark Robbins than previous managers. Blackburn, guys, let me tell you about Blackburn. 86th minute winner. It is possible. Dreams can come true for Blackburn at home, scoring goals after the 79th minute. And the goal scorer, if you want to feel old, was Idager Johnson's lad, first for the club. I can't remember his first name, but yeah. Ida's boy, that's what we'll call him. A victory for Bristol City over Birmingham, who are stuttering 2. Derby defeated our opponents for next weekend, QPR 1-0. Hull Charlton balancing each other out, as the Borough Wrexham 1-1 there. You know, it's just Borough. You thought, oh, Borough and Coventry, off they go. And yeah, Borough dropping points home to Wrexham, who've taken a few odd scalps here and there, haven't they? And Leicester as well. You kind of think, well, maybe Leicester go on the charge. Defeated at Millwall, who've got an excellent home record, to be fair to them. The post-Chansiri era, we hope, is ended with defeat for Sheffield Wednesday at home to Oxford. And blimey, who wants to talk about Ben Napper, Liam Manning at Norwich? I don't think they were dominated too badly, but defeated yet again. Really poor run of form, certainly since we beat them. Is anything going to happen this week? Do we think, Dave, at Norwich? You thought it would happen by now?
They're second bottom. I think there's 5 on the spin. Doesn't look a happy camp. I saw the brief Sky highlights of that one, and Stephen Sargent was taken off with I don't know how many. After they went 2-1 down, and he didn't. I don't think that was an injury. He didn't look too happy. So all is obviously not well there. So I'm not sure who they're playing next weekend, but I assume they're back at Carrow Row, where they haven't won at all.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't happen this week, a lot I would imagine would hinge on whatever result they get at the weekend, and then if they don't get a positive result, you would think that it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Any different view to that, Craig? It could be happening as we speak, I guess, but it does kind of feel like Napper needs it to work. But also, Liam Manning, we know, is a decent manager who's a bit of a slow burner. But I guess the trouble is that fan base, once they decide that a manager needs to go, they go pretty toxic, and there's already chats of protest and all that kind of stuff, aren't there? And the natives are restless. Do you see Manning lasting the week?
They're very restless. They've got Hull at home next weekend. Well, thankfully, by virtue of me being all over their various social media outlets after the derby, the algorithms have worked their magic. And now every time I log on to YouTube or TikTok or to do my upload of my dance moves, I'm getting an awful lot of Pinken reaction TikTok events, etc. They are not happy. There's a lot of fan coverage from the stands. There was a big standoff yesterday after the match. A lot of "you're not fit to wear the shirts," and the Norwich players just walking up with their hands on their hips, staring at the abuse that they're getting from the stands. So it is not a happy place to be. But to your point, Rich, what does Napa do? If Napa fires him, he's already failed. Well, he would have then failed with his last 2 managerial appointments. At what point does the finger of blame start turning 180 degrees and pointing you in the face rather than everyone else's fault? Certainly on the back of what appears at this moment to be a pretty disastrous summer transfer window, where they scoured the lower leagues of smaller European countries and spent a lot of thick end of 50, 60 million quid on these players who, youngsters, 21, 22-year-olds, a lot of them, with their first experience of championship football. It's not easy. We've got our own youngsters finding their feet from abroad in the championship, and it's not an easy thing to do. Luckily, we've got one or two that we can drip in and got a bit of experience around them. They're all coming in as one group and trying to find their feet on the back of a lot of losses and no real momentum and no real form. And it's only really going to spiral one way, you'd have thought. And crikey, if they need anything next weekend, it's just absolutely remarkable. I say home form. Well, it's not form, is it? It's loss after loss after loss after loss. And it's like you would think if it doesn't happen this week and they don't get a result next week, that has got to be it.
Yeah. You would think so. From what I understand, reading between the lines, up till this point, certainly up till yesterday, I think a lot of the fans' fury's been directed not actually directly to Manning, but against Napa, to be fair. So, yeah, whether that's changed after yesterday or not, I don't know. But yeah, if he is still there, that's just a massive game next week. Good grief.
And if he turns it around, that will be a pretty epic turnaround from him. So. I would put up a lot of the chat, but it's all very sympathetic towards our friends up the road. So I'll just summarize it like that. Anything else that you draw attention to, Craig or Dave, from the weekend's fixtures that we haven't already mentioned?
I just think QPR have had a couple of regular results, haven't they, in the last couple of games? So you just got hope that we can take advantage of that next weekend, because it wasn't that long ago that they were in a little bit of decent form. But I think they've had a couple of Millwall turned them over, didn't they, last week at home? Yeah. And obviously Derby haven't been in any great shakes at all recently, but to turn them over this weekend, hopefully it bodes well for us next weekend.
I think just looking at the table, it would have thought, after, only 11 games for us, but 12 for Leicester and Southampton, the three relegated teams, parachute teams. Leicester are the highest in 10th place after 12 games. It's just bonkers.
It is a bonkers league. And someone asked for the league table. I stopped doing it because I was the one who had to create it, the graphic, and then upload it. And we did it last season. It was so depressing. Like, there's the gap to 17th. Oh, it's getting bigger and bigger. Less and less teams are now in the ground. Oh, wow. So we'll put the league table up at some point. I do have, however, the form table instead, because that's the real quiz, isn't it? So here's the 6-game form table. Look at Coventry with 6 victories, but Town find themselves 7th there, chaps. So
McKenna was manager of the month for September, wasn't he? When you think about it, it's only that really that's what's blotted that is those 2 defeats in the last in the last week or so.
So maybe there is an element of crystallization of the league table. Millwall second, to your point, Craig, about their win over QPR. Charlton up there, as we know, to our cost. Look at Coventry's goal difference, Craig. You were talking to me about that before.
That's bonkers. Yeah.
But you can see the sorry, Dave, but the 3 of the 4 at the top there, they've got 3-game weeks. Only 3 wins in a week makes such a big difference. And thankfully for us getting a win yesterday, we'd probably gone into the last week thinking, crikey, if we can get 7 points, that would have been a decent haul. At least the very minimum we want is 6, and we ended up getting 3, thankfully, because it would have been an absolute disaster if we'd have come out of this run of 3 games with only 1 or whisper it 0 points. It could have really done us a dirty.
Yes, important, as we say, to have got that win. Do get your questions in for the guys. We will finish with your questions. I've already spotted a few of them, and we'll come back to them. But if you've got anything new, stick a Q at the start. That will help me find them. In terms of bits and pieces coming up this week, lots for our subscribers on Top Tier. If you haven't given Top Tier a go yet, recommend it. £5 a month. ad-free content supplementing what we'll always put out for free here on in terms of the main shows, the pre-match, the live reactions, the news show, and this flagship show, of course, as well. But if you want written content and a different perspective, both an analytical one, slightly more irreverent view of the game ahead, but also Blue Monday Rewind finds itself on top tier too. And the guys were super excited about QPR. I don't know why, but I'm sure Craig, Dave, you found an angle for QPR. Do you want to tease that one for us, Craig?
Yeah, Dave and I did it, recorded it this morning, bright and early, surprisingly bright and early. So yeah, QPR away, we managed to find 3 matches from the annals of history, which may, unsurprisingly to people, have included Darren Curry, Mark Fish, and Darnell Furlong's dad, actually, on 2 occasions. So yeah, it's well worth a listen to. Hopefully, for those that are already on top tier and those who are thinking about subscribing.
Yep. We need it confirmed as well, Rich. We thought, or certainly Craig thought, that Joe Fairs might well have Mark Fisher's shirt from that great day. Yeah, I thought. Yeah,
didn't he wear it at a previous Blue Monday live event?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think he might have brought it out. Yeah,
he's now using it to wash his windows with.
I was going to say it's framed on the wall with a picture of it. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, but so join the guys. That'll be out on Wednesday. But yeah, beyond the scoreline tomorrow for another look back at West Brom. Rewind Wednesday, the pre-match show for QPR, Seb and I Thursday, usual places, weekend preview Friday morning, and then the flagship, the guys back here on Sunday to talk about QPR. As we say, blogs throughout as well, but everything you need, links to everything, Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk, and all the stuff in terms of our partners at Atwells, everything you can find linked in the description. So check that out. But yeah, good stuff. Plenty of content coming your way this week. We've got all kinds of questions. I'm trying to see if I can do some merging. I mean, there's a lot of questions about Jack Clarke, Marcelino Nunez, and Jaden Philogene. Jack asking here about Jack Clarke or Nunez in the 10, and then Mike D, similar kind of line of questions. Craig, how do you get Philogene and Clarke in the same side? And then lots of people kind of asking about QPR and the changes for that. But let's just start with those 2. Well, let's lob Philogene in the mix too. Do you want to? You can maybe refer to James Scowcroft's views from last night on that one. But do you think anything changes for Saturday in terms of the? Obviously, we expect Smodich and Akpom maybe to be doubtful for that. So, well, both of you, I'll come to you for your config for QPR maybe. But what are you doing about this problem? It's a good problem.
Yeah,
it's a problem, isn't it?
It is a good problem to have 2 very, very good left wingers on your books. I think, and what they were speaking to Jack Clarke post match was that he seemed relatively okay with his role and seemed to be reveling in the fact that he's coming off the pitch, coming off the bench and making an impression. Darren Ambrose mentioned it on Sky that you just have to bide your time for a little while. But all you can do is come on and affect games, and it's exactly what he's doing. He's got as many goals as Jaden Philogene has, probably for a combined yardage of about 20 rather than 120. But he's got as many goals in far fewer minutes, so he's affecting games. He's been trusted to start matches. He may well start the away match at QPR. He's been penciled in for, but it's just tough on his. I don't think either of them are currently suited to a 10. I think as I said earlier, I'd be more inclined to maybe Agueli will move into the 10 and you've got McAteer to play maybe on the right. I don't think Nunez is a 10. He's more of an 8. So yeah, I think depending, hopefully Akpom's is a stud injury on the ankle and is just wrapped up in ice and the swelling will go down and it's bruising and he'll be absolutely fine to start in a week's time. But so I think for the time being, I'd be keeping it with Philogene, Egele in one of the 2 positions, and then if he's playing in the middle, maybe McAteer on the right for a bit of solidity.
I think James Scowcroft was advocating Philogene in the 10 last night, if I remember rightly. Mick Mills, you obviously listened to the same Suffolk post-match as I did. I think Mick Mills also talked about Philogene in the 10, referring to how Chaplin used to, when he couldn't affect the game in the central position as a 10, used to drift out wide, and Mick Mills thought there was an option for that. Dave, what's your solution for Kieran McKenna on this particular conundrum?
I can see why he said that, because he's we've seen it. He's very 2-footed, isn't he? Philogene. So from that 10, he could go either way from a more central position. I personally think I can't see it. I don't think the manager will move Philogene from where he's been playing at the moment. So I think Nunes and Egley is an interesting one. Is an interesting one in there. I don't know. We haven't tried Egley there yet. So I'd be surprised if he starts something like that at QPR. I thought it perhaps would be more likely to be Matasiwa and Taylor Central with Nunes just ahead of them in the 10. I would have thought.
Yep. Okay. Well, the debate is going to continue. There's a lot of chat about other options in the 10. Let me chuck those into the mix for you as well, if I can.
I just think you've got, while you're looking at those, Rich, I just think you've got an area of the pitch, haven't you, on the left-hand side, which is working. The Phillips, the Davis Philogene partnership is working. It's an area of the pitch you don't need to tinker with if you don't have to tinker with it. So I think by virtue of either putting Clarke there, moving Philogene inside, you're disrupting an area of the pitch which you can leave well alone for the time being, in my opinion.
Yeah. Interesting. McAteer hasn't got on the last 2 games. He didn't get on against Charlton either, did he? Did he get on against Charlton?
He started.
No, he started against Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Because he did. Yeah.
Michael's chucked in Humphreys. I mean, Humphreys played for the under-23s, didn't he, on Friday night, I think. So I think he feels like he's out of the equation. But Michael rightly says he played there for Wickham. But yeah, I mean, I guess.
I mean, he just hasn't featured at all, though, has he?
No, you feel sorry for him, don't you? And
you do.
Get that loan, doesn't he? I mean, other names that are out there, that right side number 10, Luke asking, when is Burns back? Hopefully quite soon. And he says, do we get Chappers back in January? He's talking more about the kind of leadership aspect, Dave. I mean, I kind of feels like Burns would definitely be doing a job. I think the trouble is Chaplin not really pulling up too many. I think he's starting, but not really gotten too many goal contributions.
He said he was better. Yes, I think I saw someone said he played better. We saw a fair bit of the game yesterday. He played better yesterday, I believe. But
it's also a squad limit, isn't it? We haven't got space in the squad to bring someone back.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, everyone would love to see Burns back on that right, fully fit and firing again. But again, it's gonna take time. How far away he is from actually being in the squad? I don't, in the 18 or whatever. I'm not really sure yet. Are you?
I'm not sure it says too much for our right wing transfer policy if you're spending the thick end of £31 million on two wide midfielders and then waiting for the previous wing back from Fleetwood to come and save your season.
You've got to think McAteer has got to be better than he's shown. Surely he is. He's got to be better than he's shown already. So hopefully we'll start to see that at some point.
But we're putting a lot of faith in Egley, aren't we? He's starting a lot of games and he's playing a lot of minutes for a young kid. We were talking about him a lot last night. James Scowcroft was talking about him a lot last night, saying that the game is a teacher. Scoey's
really profound
phrase,
statement, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
so
also
basically just give him as many minutes as you can get into him, and he'll just get better and better and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was sort of the view that you like good players just don't need to be eased in. Just get him in there as kind of like it's quite interesting. Because he's quite young. It's like again, he's like, no, just get him in there. And
kid.
I think Dave's point earlier. I think Egley will score a goal and then suddenly stratosphere. That's what I'm hoping. I
think so. I honestly do. Yeah.
Well, he was finding himself. Those two chances he had yesterday were drifting in off that right. We said the first half.
He got marked, wasn't he?
He stuck to the right wing first half. He's pretty much chalk on his boots first half. But in the second half, those two chances were on the penalty spot, weren't they? So he was drifting in. So hopefully he can get himself into those positions a bit more and then ice in his veins and stroke one in.
Exactly right. An interesting name that has resurfaced after last night. Luke asking, would you take Liam Delap back in January? But also, I don't know if you heard this question. He was speaking to the folks at DAZN, and I think he asked what's his favourite song, and he said
his walk-on song.
Oh, it's the Cranberries, isn't it?
Yeah, he said Cranberries, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And so any thoughts on? I mean, Liam Delap's not going to come back to us, is he?
My thoughts on Liam Delap last night was what was he wearing? What were those absurd trousers he was wearing? Goodness me. But no, I can't. I think that would be a stretch. I mean, everyone would obviously love to see it, but I can't really see that, unfortunately.
More chance of Amari coming back on loan.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think you might be right. Yeah,
never go back. He's not. He doesn't strike you as a Sean Dyche type player. I'm not. Well,
he came on at half time today.
He played with some time. Yeah. They made 3 changes at half time, didn't they?
Maybe so. Yep. Who's going to stop Coventry? Asks Trevor Craig. I mean, Coventry themselves.
West Ham are going to stop Coventry once they sack Nuno and hire Frank.
That's a shout. That's an interesting dimension, isn't it? Yeah. I lots of people know my affection for the area. I'm not massively affectionate for the football team itself, despite the bants that I often get. This is quite a surprising run of form for Coventry fans. They're loving it, of course. It feels like maybe some of the kind of investment in players from 2 or 3 years ago that is starting to bear fruit now. They've taken a while. The likes of Hadji Wright, for example, has taken a while to settle. But is there a bubble bursting situation, or are they the team this season, Dave, that you think are going to suddenly fall away? And to quote Daniel Mann, is it in the commentary for one of our wins last year? If you think they're going to fade away, think again.
I just, well, at the moment you can't. They're just on a roll. They're having a lovely time. They're scoring goals. They're free flowing. I mean, I saw their goals from the game yesterday. The four front players are just basically scoring goals for fun. It looks like a well-oiled machine, as we were when we were in that run 2 seasons ago. You just turn up and you're just so confident you're going to roll teams over, and that's what they're doing. However, I did see a stat. I think someone posted in the comments that they haven't played anyone inside the top 8. I mean, I know it's a moving feast this time of the season, but they haven't played anyone inside the top 8 yet. Okay. And it's an interesting fixture, Coventry, because it's that one fixture, those 2 fixtures that we play in close succession in December, isn't it?
Yes.
So there's if things are still relatively the same where they are, there's certainly a chance to get some points back on them. But at the moment, they are just on a roll, and really great. That what I've seen them really easy on the eye and lovely to watch, aren't they?
Yeah, going for it. I want to chuck this one in here because it's been debated, and I guess we are kind of part of the conversation, as is lots of people on this topic. Rob asked this question, Dave. Was McKenna justified in saying the atmosphere was really, really difficult? It seemed flat, says Rob. Not toxic. Definitely wasn't toxic, but no. There is definitely some pockets, and I'm in the North Stand, so I'm probably nearer to it than most people. There are still quite a lot of people really upset and quite emotional, should I say. I'm not going to say angry, but I think there's quite a lot of football brings out emotion in people in different ways, but still people really uncomfortable with the style of play, with the substitution situations. Do we need to calm down, or
I think you've got to temper it a bit? Look, we've all said it. It's that level of expectation this season. Look, you've spent whatever you've spent, X million, how many million you've spent. It's that expectation, and there was always going to be nervousness around the game yesterday after the Middlesbrough results, and especially after the Tuesday night result, which was obviously horrendous, wasn't it? So there's always going to be nerves and tension. All that is totally relieved if you get an early goal. If you get an early goal, the pins pulled out, the pressure just deflates. You're up, the crowd are behind you, and not like yesterday. I'm sure had we got an early goal, we might well have won that 2 or 3. Really, I think we perhaps would have done, and probably the same. Well, exactly the same against Charlton. You score first half in that game the other night. Again, we were so dominant, pretty much. Well, okay, yeah, Charlton, I understand, did have 1 or 2. Okay chances first half, but you score the first goal in that game, you win that 2 or 3 as well. So it is so important. And yeah, there was a degree of nervousness. You could see it and tension as the game went on and you weren't getting the goal. But just see, as soon as you score the goal, all right, it was 83 minutes, but tension kind of goes, all right, you don't get the second. So, while they're lumping balls into the box and in time added on, there's still a degree of sort of nervousness about. But yeah, it's so important to get that early goal.
Yep. Takes the pressure off, doesn't it? And, but the goal yesterday was a weight off everyone's shoulders too. So just we've got to get by, support the team, isn't it? But I know it's difficult, and as you say, the expectation really, it's been a while since with the haves rather than the have-nots, and to see the team kind of mid-table at the moment, 3 points off the playoffs, by the way, and a game in hand with the Blackburn situation. So yeah, it could be a lot worse. And Southampton, I think, are calling for their owners to go, and Leicester at some point, we hope, their financial stuff will. There's something in the post for them, isn't there? So yeah, fingers crossed on that. Yeah, things start to click. And to that point, we'll kind of end with this. Obviously, we'll talk more about QPR in the pre-match show, but Michael kind of talks about how many changes for the next game. You've talked about your preferences for the front three. But are you keeping everyone behind the front three the same guys? Because there's not a huge amount wrong, was there? And a clean sheet too. So many changes, Craig, for you on Saturday?
No, I don't think so. I keep the central midfield too the same. You can't, after the performance that Taylor put in yesterday. You take a brave man to drop him. It was an all action performance from a centre midfielder, exactly what you need in the Championship. Really, the back four was nice and solid. Just be interesting to see. Unfortunately, we're not going to know the situation with regards to the injured number 10s, are we? You'd think, as you said at the very beginning, Rich, that Schmodic is going to be out for longer than Akpom. But they'll just maybe a bit of jiggery pokery around there, and maybe Azon to start. But I appreciate the point was, if Hurst has already done the beating up of defenders and dragging them around for 75 minutes, it's easier to come on and look sprightly up against two tiring centre defenders than it is to do it for the first 75 sort of thing. So yeah, interesting times. But so I think the two centre midfielders and the four defenders behind it are hopefully nailed on for a little bit.
Anything out of Saturday, Dave, that gives you hope for finally getting an away win? Because it is a problem, our away form, isn't it?
Yeah, I think hopefully with Taylor being, I'm not saying he's the long-term solution, perhaps alongside Matt Seaward, but I think that just gives him more solidity away from home, I think, which I think we've been lacking, certainly at Borough. I think we said last night, just gives you a little bit more discipline in there, perhaps. That's not necessarily a slur on Kayus, who we said is a lovely footballer, but when the proverbial muck and bullets are flying around, you probably want someone away like Taylor, and it's, what QPR's like, can be tight atmosphere, crowd on you. So I think someone like Taylor hopefully will start. I can't see him changing that, and certainly after his display yesterday, I think Kit Pray solid again, so Kit Pray alongside O'Shea as well.
I think, right, well, we'll see what is what on Sunday. This time next week, we'll be back to talk about the game after the fact. The usual trio, I suspect, will be back in their usual places, but Seb and I will be back for pre-match to preview it. So join us at Thursday at 8 p.m. But for now, thank you, Craig and Dave. You can catch those two on Blue Monday Rewind. Before you say goodbye, please do give us a thumbs up. If you're listening on podcast, do give us a 5-star rating in your app of choice. And guys, thank you for your insights as always. Any last words for the gathered masses before we say goodbye? Anything from you, Craig?
Oh, we've got another 3-game week, haven't we, coming up? With
yeah, we do.
QPR, Watford, and then trip to Swansea. So, hey, 9 points in the bag.
You go with that, Dave?
We've heard that. We've heard that one before, haven't we? Yeah. No, it's again. I think it's really important we go to QPR. Positive performance, a good away performance will help, and obviously, get a result as well. But because we just really haven't shown it yet, so hopefully that will come on Saturday.
Yep, fingers crossed. Who'd have thought Craig Finbow playing the Joe Fairs role tonight? Thank you guys for your insights. Thank you everyone involved in the live chat, and thank you for watching or listening. Have a great week, and we will see you soon.